Hello and welcome to the New Europe Studios, where you can watch us make the news. Today I'm speaking to His Excellency Mohamed Yonis. He's the Foreign Minister for Somaliland. Now, we may be familiar with the Horn of Africa, but many of us may not know too much about Somaliland, which is often called a small secret success in Africa. Minister, could you just explain to our viewers a little bit about Somaliland and perhaps why we may not be too aware of it?
Let me first take this opportunity to thank you for giving me this opportunity to have this interview with you. Somaliland, as you said, is a success story in the Horn of Africa. Somaliland was a former British protectorate from 1884 to 1960. So we have been under the protectorate of Britain for 76 years. On 26 June 1960, Somaliland got its independence. And Somaliland has been recognized by 35 member states of the UN as an independent state. 5 days later, Somaliland decided to join their neighbors from Somalia, the Italian part, who got their independence on 1st of July and became the Somali Republic. The objective or the intention of the reunion was to have the greater Somalia. As you know, Somali-speaking people are all in Djibouti, in Somaliland, British Somaliland, Italian Somaliland, in Ethiopia and Kenya. And at the time we had all the intention of having a greater Somalia, and that's what we have decided as the first nation that has got its own independence. And we joined the Italian part to form a union called Somali Republic. Unfortunately, that union or marriage was a disaster for us, and it has never been ratified by the parliaments. But I think because of those emotions of becoming a greater Somalia, we stayed in there until the dictator Mohamed came into power. He was a very brutal dictator, and he has actually destroyed and bombarded Somaliland and killed over 50,000 to 100,000 people, and 500,000 people fled and were displaced to Ethiopia and other neighboring countries. From there, Somaliland started fighting, and we have managed to chase him out. And in 1991, we regained our own independence. Of course, we're not recognized yet, but we are a de facto independent state, and we are behaving like any other states in the world. I think most of the legal experts say that we do have the legal authority to be on our own because there was never an act of union that has been ratified. But we have decided to go the practical way and talk to our neighbors in Somalia and see if we could resolve our issues through dialogue. But as you said, Somaliland is peaceful, it's very stable, it's very democratic, and I think we have elections, we have the rule of law, we have proper human rights procedures in the country, we have freedom of expression and media. And I think Somaliland has proven to the rest of the world that it's a nation that needs to be recognized, that needs to be supported. But unfortunately, as you know, within the world that we are living now, most of the attention is wherever there is a war. If we are doing very well as a peaceful nation, no one is really interested in you. But as you said, it's an oasis of peace, it's very stable. We're having a lot of projects and programs with different parts of bilateral member states. And we do believe that we will get our own independence very soon through dialogue. We decided to have a dialogue with Somalia, and we are confident that Somaliland would get its independence very soon.
It must also be a source of frustration that with Somaliland becoming almost a byword for anarchy and disorder, that your independent nation, which is independent in all but recognition, is a functioning democratic state that is completely ignored and bypassed.
I think that's very true. Of course, we would like Somalia to be stable, and we are very happy that the world is supporting Somalia's stability. And we do believe as Somalilanders we could play a role in really helping the rest of the world in helping and restoring peace and stability in Somalia. We know them, they're our brothers, we have the same culture, the same language, and I think we could contribute a lot. But as you said, it's frustrating when you see millions and billions of dollars going into a war zone where there's a chaos and anarchy, and when we are doing well and we are not getting anything. So of course, we would like to tell the rest of the world, do whatever you can do to support Somalia, but please encourage those who are helping themselves. You should provide an incentive for those who have performed well. Encourage them. Give them the development aid and resources to do better. And that would be a perfect example for those who are misbehaving, to learn from those who are behaving, and maybe learn from us and behave well. And if they know that there is, if there is a response from the world, that if you misbehave and create wars and whatnot, you would not get anything, maybe people will change. But I think we need the attention of the world. I think we need our own recognition. We need our independence. We're doing very well. We have been an independent state. And I think the world has decided to forget us. And I think we are trying to do the best that we can. And I think I must say that we are on the forefront when it comes to issues of security. Somaliland is fighting terrorism, fighting piracy, and we have actually managed to remove pirates from our own shores. We have managed to be a buffer zone for both Ethiopia and Djibouti. And we are interacting with a lot of the international community when it comes to fighting terrorism. And I think we have done well, and I think most of the world recognize the role that Somaliland is playing. But we definitely need to be recognizing, because recognition is hindering a lot of other areas in terms of development, in terms of investments, in terms of being a member of the international community.
I mean, I remember your referendum over your constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fact that Somaliland in 2001, I believe,
yeah,
could organise a constitutional process and a public referendum on this is something that Somalia at the time just couldn't possibly achieve. So this shows to me, and I hope people will look into this and learn a bit more, that you are a country in all but recognition. And this recognition prevents you from becoming like a legal entity which enables you to deal with this. So what would you say that this lack of recognition has done in your fight against terrorism, because you've been real victims of a very brutal form of terrorism that's been very hard to eradicate from the Horn of Africa?
I think we have done well when it comes to issues of fighting terrorism. I think most, or 50% of our budget actually goes to security. Even though we don't have a lot of resources, we are spending a lot of our money on security to try to ensure that there are no terrorists within our region, or within our country, or within the neighboring countries. And I think that shows that the amount of resources that we are spending on security alone, which we believe is a priority for us because we want to have a peace and stability, we could have used it otherwise, for education, for social sectors, for health and the rest. But we felt security is key, and I think it's important for the world to realize that we are investing that much, not only in securing Somaliland, but we are securing our neighbors. And I think we are also securing the streets of Europe, because we do believe if we manage to push out and to fight the terrorists coming into the rest of the world, I think it's a good thing for everybody. So it is very sad, and as you said, we had the referendum. 97% of the Somalilanders voted for independence. We had 5 elections that have been seen to be fair and free. We are having now this year, hopefully, a presidential election and the parliamentary elections. The EU and other donor countries are actually supporting the process. And I think we proved to the world that we are capable of being a very democratic nation. And I think we are really performing better than many other African states. But definitely recognition, as you said, is key. We need to get the recognition issue sorted out very soon through dialogue. Legally, I think we do have a very strong case, because we do believe that there was never an act of union that has been ratified between us and Somalia. But we do believe that we should handle it politically and through the dialogues that are taking place now between us and Somalia, we hope we will have our own independence soon. The last talks were in Djibouti in December of last year, a month ago, where the president of Djibouti, Ismail Omar Guelleh, hosted both the Somali president and the Somaliland president, and we have agreed to continue with those dialogues, and hopefully we'll have the next one in February next month. And we hope we will have a way forward, and I think we want to handle that thing in a very peaceful manner and have that dialogue rather than having a fight. And I think the rest of the world is very much aware of the fact that we have to be an independent state, and we expect others to support the process and to be engaged in that process.
And how is this lack of recognition affecting your country and its ambitions for development, for trade and for international relationships?
Definitely it is a major impediment, and actually it's affecting us to have access to the development institutions like the World Bank or the African Development Bank or the Islamic Development Bank or the European Investment Bank. We cannot access loans and grants and money from those institutions. We cannot also have proper financial institutions. We lack proper banking, and I think, or proper insurance, and I think it hinders the development of the country, and I think it is a major problem for us not to be recognized, because we do believe that we could have managed to do better. I think we're doing fine without the recognition, but I think if we had the recognition and the independence, we believe, and access to resources, access to money, access to funds, to aid, sitting at the United Nations, being a member of the AU, being a member of the IGAD, being a member of the Islamic organizations and the rest, I think we will definitely do better. And I think we are a very moderate Islamic nation. There is no extremism in Somaliland. We have been fighting terrorists, and I think recognition would help us a lot achieve our own ambitions. And I think there would be more success stories for us if we were a recognized state.
Yeah. And how is this campaign for recognition and also for developing and bringing assistance to your country? Have you noticed any kind of changes in attitudes in the UN or in the European Union?
We do have over 22 UN agents in Somaliland. We also have, the European Union do also have an office. We are having actually an excellent relation with a lot of institutions and countries. We're getting a lot of support through the Somaliland Development Fund. The Somaliland Development Fund is being financed both by the UK and Denmark and Norway, and Netherlands also just joined, and we have been asking the EU also to join. I think the international community are interacting with us, because we do believe that we also have all of the requirements of a statehood. I think we have the population, we have defined borders, we have a government, we are behaving like any other state. So quite a good number of actually getting an agreement with other institutions and bilateral countries. So we do have, I think, what it takes to be a state, but we don't have the recognition yet. But we expect the international community to look into our case more deeply and support us, because we have been an independent state. We have been on our own, and like Syria and Egypt, or Gambia or Senegal, or Mali and Senegal, who have been together and decided to go back to their own original states, which we will fall into that category. We are not like South Sudan or Eritrea, but we have been an independent state, and I think we need to be going back to that status and have our own independence as quickly as possible.
And what else would you be looking for from the European Union? Is there anything else that you would be
We came to Brussels, of course, to raise the profile of Somaliland. We came to educate and inform the European member parliaments about Somaliland's progress, about the stability of Somaliland, about the peaceful people that we are, about our fight with terrorism and piracy, and the role that Somaliland is playing when it comes to issues related, issues that are a threat to the world. And I think many of them have recognized it. We have attended the meetings of the development group, and we have been to the foreign relations group, and we have explained to them where we stand and what we have done. And we also came to ask for more resources, more development aid. And they do have an office, they're supporting us, but we definitely need much more support from them. So it was an eye-opener for all of them to really see, because many of them were not really much aware. So I think we are trying to do that, raising the profile and creating an awareness of what's happening in Somaliland. So those European members of parliament would understand the role that we are playing in actually fighting terrorists to come into the streets of Europe and the rest of the world. So it was a good opportunity for us to really interact with many of them and raise the profile of Somaliland and fight for our own independence and recognition.
And this tragically is a very timely event with the killings in Paris, which is triggering a rethink of how do we deal with terrorism, which can be homegrown, can come from converts, can come from the diaspora. So has that changed people's attitudes here as we're beginning to look again at how we combat terrorism, at the experiences that Somaliland has had in dealing with this?
I think many of them actually realized it and appreciated the role that Somaliland is playing when it comes to issues of terrorism, piracy, illegal fishing, human trafficking, and the rest. And I think we have proven, to the rest of the world that we managed to do this, and we could help others how to deter similar incidents like the one that has happened in Paris. I think, as you said, it could be homegrown. Many of those guys could come. We also have a lot of diaspora who are living in all those countries. And we are also trying to educate our own diasporas in the European country not to get engaged with these events. They're listening and they know that peacefulness and behaving and interacting in a reasonable and a civilized manner with the rest of the people that they're living with here in Europe is good for our image. And we have had meetings with our own communities here to explain to them that they should behave, that they should learn, that they should spread the word of Somaliland's recognition to the rest of the world. So we believe that we are on the forefront when it comes to fighting terrorism. I think we need to compensate and encourage and provide a lot of incentives to those countries. We do have, for example, a coast guard in Somaliland that's actually fighting piracy. Pirates have been reduced now to nothing into our region. We have managed to push them out. They know that we have a prison for the pirates. In fact, we have taken quite a good number of prisoners from Seychelles who are present in our prisons. We need some support. We need support for our coast guards so that we could fight them, so that they don't come into the streets of Europe. We need more support for our own security apparatus in terms of information sharing, in terms of intelligence sharing, in terms of supporting one another so that we try to trace and avoid that there are no people running loose all over the place trying to do harm. So I think Somaliland, in my view, is a key partner of the international community. And I think recognition would have given us that opportunity to be there at the forums that people discuss issues at the UN and other places. And we do believe that we could really do much more as a recognized and an independent state to fight the terrorism, to fight the piracy, to fight all of the bad extremists are doing.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for this and for bringing this to people's attention as we look towards the Horn of Africa. It's very easy to look on it as being nothing but a series of disasters and depravity, really. But what we need to learn is Somalia is changing, but Somaliland has been for a long time now a good ally in the fight against piracy and against terrorism. And let's just hope that we can sort out the recognition issue that will give you access to the international institutions that can help further your country's ambitions for development and progress. But all in the Horn of Africa is not all bad. There is a little corner in there that very quietly has been building itself as an independent, democratic nation. Thank you very much,
Thank you
Minister.
very much.